Auth66 day 11. 11. It's supposed to be a lucky number. I think like 7 is a lucky number. Depends on what you pay attention to. I always found luck an interesting concept. I think, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that I have certain privilege that has been extended to me. I think though luck is not just about privilege. It's about being in the right place at the right time. But you can be in those places and you can not take advantage of an opportunity. And I think, there's something to be said about being cautious. There's something to be said about being bold and taking opportunity in front of you. And I think we never know which one is the right one to do until it's already done. And I think that, it's really easy to say something with hindsight, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. Luck is one of those things where, it just happens and we say, oh, they're lucky. But also sometimes you don't really see the hard work that went into it or what somebody might have risked to make that happen. And the reason why luck is on my brain this evening is because I knew I wanted to do a video solely about being named one of the board members, the new board members for MSPGeek. But I wasn't sure I was in the right headspace for it today. I've often felt lucky to be taken in by this community. And I wasn't really sure how I'd put words in. So last night I was very unlucky to have our fire alarm go off 3 times over the course of an hour and a half. And it wasn't because it was actually something wrong. The fire alarm itself was faulty. So I wasn't sure I was going to talk about this because I felt like I couldn't do it justice. But then I reminded myself, the real luck, the real way that things happen. And it's not always in our control, but the real way that things happen is by just pushing through sometimes, because you won't have the answer. You won't know if this opportunity that you've taken is going to turn out, or if the time that you've given to something is going to turn into what you want it to, or if you're going to be rewarded. All you can do as a person is show up and do the best you can, not for the sake of, what's going to come to you, but for the sake of the good, right? This is a lesson I have to remind myself on. I've said before in my podcast and whatever, that reciprocity is important to me. And sometimes I can fall into that trap where, I think that something is, it should happen because I did all of these things. I've done the checklist of whatever. And the reality is that that's really where the luck comes in. It's whether or not it's visible, whether or not someone recognizes it, whether everything aligns in the stars and planets. And, I would be stupid if I didn't say that how everything lined up for me to be nominated for the board, didn't have some element of that. Now, listen, I have to remind myself, because it's very easy for me to get imposter syndrome, that there's a lot that probably went into that decision in terms of contribution, in terms of the way that I reached out. I know that there are those of you that are in the community that have felt personally supported by me, but I'm pretty sure there's lots of you that haven't, and you don't even know who the hell I am, and, probably going, well, who is this person, right? I think that is my job to, maybe spread that out so that other people can feel that. And realistically, I have been so, heartened to see some of the people that I connected with personally be able to help them, come to the conference or engage more in the community. And now I see them even doubling down on that. And I love seeing that. I love watching how that happens. But for anybody who has questions, I think they made it a little bit public, but there was probably some things that were probably still not necessarily as transparent. But I was approached and asked if I would be interested in interviewing for the position. And I think my answer came within 30 seconds, and it was yes, please. Because I care about this community specifically. I mean, I care about all MSPs, but I care about this community specifically. And I think I had to wait, I don't remember, like 2 or 3 months, maybe I'm just imagining it was that long, for the interview, which was in front of the entire existing board. And they asked me some pretty challenging questions about where I saw the community going, what ideas I had, what I'd be willing to contribute, and what I thought was special. And, you know, there's a lot of things that I had heard when I would encourage people to go to the conference after my first time experience that let me know, you know, where maybe some of the, I wouldn't call them faults, but maybe challenges were. And I said to myself, there was actually a point in the interview where I was like, okay, either one or two things is going to happen right now. Either, Amanda, you're going to be quiet and you're going to be, you know, a little more maybe democratic, maybe careful with your words, or you're going to be your full self. And I don't really know if it was a factor because that part hasn't, you know, been said to me, but I was like, nah, if you're going to serve, you're going to serve with all of who you are. And I mean, why would you shelter them from that now? They should probably know what they're getting into. You know, and it was one of those things where somebody on the board was saying something that they were maybe not challenging me, but maybe disagreeing. Somewhere in between those two is something that I was saying. And I'm like, no, actually, I have heard this in the community. I have heard these things. And they were like, really? And then I was like, yeah. And I think the important thing to remember is that, you know, it's one thing to challenge somebody just for the sake of challenging them on their idea, but you should probably also, if you're going to put yourself out there, have something to be able to, I don't know, back it up, or like then say what it is you want to do about it. And, you know, my approach from there was basically, you know, this is what I've heard and it is a real thing. And here is what I've thought about what we could do about it. And here is the ways that I could see us attacking it. And there's probably like 3 different ways that we could look at it, so that in that moment, even though I'm not challenging to be obstinate. I'm challenging to get to an end result, to get to a goal that I think was well aligned. And if it wasn't well aligned, then I really shouldn't have the position, because then it'd be a mismatch, right? And I think I approached a lot of the interview that way, whether we were talking about ideas or goals. And I consider the fact that, you know, I was the person selected, or one of the people selected, to mean that there was alignment there on where we're going to be going, and those ideas are welcome. And I am heartened by that. But it also makes me excited because, you know, for anybody who may have been wanting more, there's so much stuff that was discussed that I can't wait to see come to fruition, or help be a part of bringing it to fruition. And that's the kind of thing, when I think about this, is like, yeah, luck to get the interview, luck to get a position on the board, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe my words in the interview were the thing that did it. My ideas. That's what I got the impression of, and what I would hope. But what happens from here and what I do with it, that's on me. That's not luck. That is, you know, what I bring to the table, or what I help with. And, you know, I've gotten a chance to get to know the board members, you know, having worked with Mendy last year. I got to know him as well. And I feel like I'm still figuring that part of the landscape out, but everybody's passionate about what's possible. And that's exciting to me. All the volunteers I've had a chance to talk to, that most of them are my friends anyway, they're all excited. I can't wait to see what we do. For me personally, I'm passionate about, you know, the conference is great and I love the conference, but I really would love to have more encouragement for that community to have interaction throughout the rest of the year. If you're wondering, you know, and you didn't get a chance to be there, I mean, I said my mandate is making sure that people feel like they belong, and the best way to do that is to have those moments that go beyond just the chats. The chats are great, but it's not how everybody interacts. And, you know, the really beautiful parts that I've experienced are in these moments of time where I get to double down on getting to know people in the community and what they bring to the table, and who they are as people, right? Because everybody has a story, and I can't wait to see if we can, have more, not necessarily events, but more opportunities for that to happen. There's a lot of things that MSPGeek has done amazing over the years, but that, there's only so long that you can ask somebody to do that without broadening the base of what that looks like. I'm excited about the forum for people to be able to volunteer. I'm excited for all the ways that that belonging can proliferate and that learning can proliferate. So I think I'm at like that almost 11-minute mark here, so kind of funny for Auth66 day 11. But I guess I wanted to just maybe introduce that part of myself to anybody who didn't already know that about me, and to acknowledge, how lucky I was to get the opportunity. But make no mistake that I will not let luck be the only factor here. I will bring myself and my ideas and my hard work to help, better everybody. Take care, everybody. See you tomorrow.